I was afraid that if someone did hear me, that they would probably judge me. So I purposely didn't put myself in situations where anyone else could really hear it. When I finally did start playing for others, I was surprised by the response. And so I'll share that later in this video. We create stories in our minds about what others think about our guitar playing or our singing. And I really thought that other people would be able to know if I made a mistake. I'm guessing that all of you have experienced at some time or other one of the things that I'm going to list. So first is, did you stop playing when someone entered the room, whether it was your spouse or a child or just a friend? Are you self-conscious when you're in the music store and you're trying to test out a guitar and you're playing a short part of a song? Are you uncomfortable in recording yourself and then sharing it with others? Or have you been to an open mic or a karaoke night and then thought to yourself, there is no way that I can do that, which is stand up on stage in front of a crowd and sing or play guitar? The embarrassment that you're feeling, or the feeling of being judged, we really think that everyone can hear a mistake. And that isn't always the case. Not everyone is going to have that ear for every single part of a song and every single note. I'm curious what your mind has been telling you about your guitar playing, and I'd like to hear about that in the comments below. If you like this video, please make sure to like, comment, or subscribe. Thanks. So what actually drives the fear of playing in front of others? And I think that's really rejection. I know I was afraid of playing poorly in front of others, and that people would think that I wasn't a, we'll so say, real musician. And this feeling of rejection was the thing that made me realize that I felt like I wasn't going to belong to this musician club, and I wanted to be a part of it. When you start playing music as an adult, it's particularly challenging, and the reason is because you're trying to join in a club of musicians that may have already been playing for 20 or 30 or 40 years, and this can be very intimidating. For sure, I know I was intimidated, and it was such a driving factor that I kept delaying starting to play guitar or any instrument at all. It's this feeling that you can't be good, you're not good today, and that you can't catch up because everyone else is already better than you. But the reality is, if you don't start, you're never going to be good. The situation that happened to me that helped me uncover the fact that I could play in front of others and it was okay. I was practicing my music outside, singing and playing guitar. It was getting into fall and winter, so I had to move inside to play inside instead of outside. I had to play in the living room because that was the only place that I could play. I would try to play quiet and I would just assume, well, no one's going to hear me. I'm playing really quiet and no one's listening. Well, then my husband came and said, hey, do you think you could play that U2 song? I think it's With or Without You. And so that was the turning point where I realized that people were actually listening, but then for them it became, oh, I'd like to hear this other song that I like. Maybe they can play that. And then my kids came and asked me to play Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up. The discovery here was that I wasn't trying to play for them, but it ended up they wanted me to play but specific songs. And my discovery was also that they were supportive because they were asking me to play more. This idea that playing music is shifting from being a situation where you're being judged to a place where you're providing entertainment, that's a real turning point. So 3 things I wanted to share that I learned through this process. And the first one is that people are often thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about you. If there's another musician in the room, they may be playing themselves and not thinking about you at all, and they're not focused on your sound. Lesson 2 is that people do really respect the courage that you bring when you sing in front of others or play guitar in front of others. And occasionally they'll actually be impressed with your performance, especially when it sounds vaguely like the original. But they really appreciate this bravery that you are showing and demonstrating by playing in front of others. And the third lesson is that when you do play in front of others, you sort of gain this confidence in becoming more comfortable. So most musicians don't start off playing at, a huge coliseum of people. They play in a small venue. They play for a few friends at a party, and then maybe they graduate to playing in a small restaurant, and then they'll kind of keep increasing the size of the audience. In a way, this is a small version of that, where even if you just have a few people that you can play for, you're increasing your confidence and becoming more comfortable with playing. The confidence can be gaining one fan at a time, and even if it's just your 9-year-old or your spouse or your dog or whatever other pet you might have, those can even be your audience. Now it's your turn to try and play for others. I would like to have you play one song for a trusted person, or just go to a park and play outside and let other people hear you. You can play in your living room and just kind of see what happens when other people hear you play. And you might be surprised by the result, that you might get song requests like I did, or you might get some compliments. You just never know. Playing guitar is really your journey and no one else's, and you don't need approval to get into a special musicians club like I thought. The moment you pick up the guitar, you're in the club. The breakthrough here is realizing that you don't need to be judged, or you don't need to have approval, that you're a guitar player and there's no need to be afraid at all. If you like this video, please make sure to check out my other videos about confidence and having fun playing guitar. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time.